The old school loomed over them, Greywood School. A shiver ran down my spine. The wind howled like a wolf. Leaves crunched under our feet. We were supposed to be inside, warm and safe, not here at the school after dark. The building was dark, except for a single light flickering in the top window. What was that? My heart thumped in my chest. My breath came out in short, scared gasps. Why did we agree to do this? You guys, I don't like this, whispered Ben, his voice trembling. Ben was the scared one in our group, always had been, but we were all thinking the same thing. Even tough guy Jake looked nervous. Come on, scaredy cats, Emily said, trying to sound brave. But I saw the flicker of fear in her eyes. We were all scared, but we were also curious, and that's what got us into this mess in the first place. There were 4 of us. Emily, the brave one, always ready for a dare. Jake, the athletic one, who acted tough but scared easily. Ben, the nervous one, always jumping at shadows. And then there was me, Max. I'm not sure what I was, maybe the curious one. We had all heard the stories about Greywood School, stories whispered in the corridors, stories told in hushed tones after the lights went out, stories about the school being haunted. Most of us brushed it off as silly rumors, but not Emily. She was determined to prove the stories true. So here we were on a dark and stormy night at the gates of Greywood School. The wind howled, the thunder roared, and the lightning flashed. It was the perfect night for ghost hunting, or so we thought. Let's stick together, I said, my voice a little shaky. We all nodded in agreement. We were in this together, for better or for worse. As we walked up the steps to the main entrance, I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. It was as if someone or something was watching us. The old wooden door creaked open as if it hadn't been used in years. The air inside was thick with dust and the smell of decay. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the only sound was the beating of our own hearts. "This place is creepy," Ben whispered, his eyes darting around nervously. "Tell me something I don't know," Jake muttered under his breath. We cautiously made our way down the main hallway, our footsteps echoing in the silence. The shadows seemed to dance around us, taking on strange and eerie shapes. "Did you hear that?" Emily whispered suddenly, stopping dead in her tracks. "Hear what?" I asked, my heart pounding in my chest. "I thought I heard a whisper," she said, her eyes wide with fear, like someone was saying my name. We listened intently, but there was nothing but an eerie silence. Then we heard it again, a faint whisper. Coming from the walls themselves, it seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. We froze, our blood turning to ice. The whispers seemed to grow louder, swirling around us. We couldn't make out any words, just an eerie, high-pitched wailing. "This is too freaky, even for me," Jake admitted, his voice barely a whisper. Suddenly a loud bang echoed from the end of the hallway. We spun around to see that the door to the music room had swung open, and then we heard it. The sound of someone playing the piano. It was a mournful melody filled with sadness and despair. It was like the cry of a lonely ghost. "You've got to be kidding me," Ben said, his voice trembling. "It's like something out of a horror movie." We cautiously approached the music room, our hearts pounding in our chests. As we peered inside, we couldn't believe our eyes. The grand piano in the center of the room was playing, but there was no one sitting there. We stood there for what felt like an eternity, watching in stunned silence as the ghostly piano played on. The music seemed to seep into our very bones, filling us with a sense of dread. "We need to get out of here," Ben whimpered, his face pale. "This place is seriously haunted." As we turned to leave, I noticed something strange. There was a faint scratching sound coming from behind a dusty old tapestry on the wall. It was as if someone was trying to get our attention. "What's that?" Emily whispered, her eyes fixed on the tapestry. We cautiously approached the tapestry, our hearts pounding in our chests. As we reached out to touch it, the scratching sound grew louder, more urgent. With bated breath, we pulled back the tapestry to reveal a small hidden door. It was dark and foreboding, and a musty smell wafted out from within. We hesitated for a moment, our minds racing. Should we dare to see what lay beyond the secret door? Curiosity got the better of us. This was what we came for, wasn't it? Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the door. A narrow, cobweb-filled passageway was revealed. We grabbed the only flashlight we had brought and stepped inside, the door clicking shut behind us. The passageway was dark and cramped, and the air was heavy with the smell of damp earth. We stumbled along, our flashlight beam dancing over the rough stone walls. After what felt like an eternity, we emerged into a small, dusty room. In the center of the room sat an old gramophone, its horn pointed towards us like an accusing finger. And next to it, a pile of old records lay scattered on the floor. "What is this place?" Ben asked, his voice shaking. As if in answer to his question, the gramophone suddenly sprang to life. The eerie melody from the music room filled the air, making us jump back in fright. This was the source of the haunting music. We rushed back to the music room, the gramophone's eerie tune echoing behind us. As we burst into the room, we were met with a sight that made our blood run cold. Sitting at the piano, his back to us, was the shadowy figure of a young boy. He was dressed in old-fashioned clothes, and his head was bowed as his ghostly fingers danced over the keys. We froze, our breath catching in our throats. The ghostly music stopped abruptly, and the figure slowly turned to face us. His face was pale and drawn, and his eyes seemed to burn with a cold, otherworldly light. He opened his mouth to speak, but no sound came out. Then, just as quickly as he had appeared, he vanished into thin air. The room was plunged into silence once more. We stood there for a moment, our hearts pounding in our chests. Then we turned and fled, our screams echoing through the empty halls of Greywood School. We had uncovered the truth behind the haunting, but at what cost? Some secrets are best left buried. As we ran, I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. I could have sworn I saw a shadowy figure watching us from the shadows, a cruel smile playing on his lips. The haunting of Greywood School was far from over,